On November 22, 1963, the world watched in horror as President John F. Kennedy was fatally shot in Dallas, Texas. The event unfolded in broad daylight in front of thousands of onlookers and was captured on film, making it one of the most documented assassinations in history. The news spread like wildfire, and within minutes the entire nation was plunged into a state of shock and disbelief. The young, charismatic leader was riding in a motorcade with his wife Jacqueline when shots rang out. The motorcade was making its way through Dealey Plaza, a bustling area filled with cheering crowds. Suddenly, the joyous atmosphere turned into chaos as the sound of gunfire echoed through the streets. The assassination sent shockwaves through the United States and beyond. People were glued to their televisions and radios, seeking updates and trying to make sense of the tragedy. The sense of loss was palpable, and the nation mourned together, united in their grief. It was a moment etched in history, a collective trauma that left a nation grappling for answers. Memorials and vigils were held across the country, and flags were flown at half-mast. The image of a grieving Jacqueline Kennedy, standing beside her husband's coffin, became an enduring symbol of the nation's sorrow. The official investigation led by the Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in killing Kennedy. The Commission's report, however, was met with skepticism by many. The idea that a lone gunman could alter the course of history seemed too simplistic, too convenient. However, this explanation failed to satisfy many. The public's trust in the government was already fragile, and the assassination only deepened the sense of unease. People began to question the official narrative, seeking alternative explanations for the tragic event. Doubts lingered and whispers of conspiracy began to circulate. Theories ranged from the involvement of the CIA and the Mafia to foreign governments and shadowy cabals. Each theory seemed to offer a piece of the puzzle, but none could provide a complete picture. The assassination of JFK became a turning point in American history. It marked the end of an era of innocence and the beginning of a more cynical and questioning time. The event had a profound impact on American society, influencing politics, culture, and the collective consciousness. It shattered the nation's innocence and sowed seeds of distrust in the government. The 1960s were a turbulent time, and the assassination added to the sense of uncertainty and upheaval. Protests, social movements, and a growing counterculture all reflected the changing mood of the country. The event was so shocking, so deeply unsettling, that it gave rise to countless conspiracy theories. Books, documentaries, and articles explored every possible angle, each claiming to have uncovered the truth. The search for answers became a national obsession. These theories, often complex and contradictory, reflected the profound impact of the assassination on the American psyche. The need to understand, to find meaning in the chaos, drove people to explore even the most outlandish ideas. The need to make sense of the senseless, to find a reason behind the seemingly random act of violence, fueled a search for alternative explanations. The assassination of JFK remains one of the most debated and analyzed events in history, a testament to its enduring impact on the American consciousness. And the Warren Commission report, despite its thoroughness, failed to quell the doubts surrounding Kennedy's death. The report, which spanned 888 pages and included testimony from hundreds of witnesses, was intended to provide a definitive account of the events. However, it left many questions unanswered and many people unconvinced. Many found it difficult to accept that a lone gunman, a former Marine with a troubled past, could have carried out such a meticulously planned assassination. Oswald's background, marked by defection to the Soviet Union and subsequent return to the United States, only deepened the suspicions. How could one man acting alone have orchestrated such a complex and high-profile murder? Discrepancies in eyewitness accounts, questions about the trajectory of the bullets, and Oswald's own claims of being a patsy added fuel to the fire. Eyewitnesses reported hearing shots from different directions, and the infamous magic bullet theory seemed implausible to many. Oswald's mysterious murder by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner with alleged mob ties, further complicated the narrative. Conspiracy theories began to proliferate, offering alternative narratives that implicated powerful figures and shadowy organizations. These theories ranged from the plausible to the fantastical, but they all shared a common theme: the belief that the truth was being hidden from the public. The media played a significant role in spreading these theories, with newspapers and television programs exploring various angles and possibilities. Some theories pointed to the involvement of the CIA, angered by Kennedy's handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis and his perceived softness on communism. The agency's clandestine operations and history of covert actions made it a prime suspect in the eyes of many. Could the CIA have orchestrated the assassination to remove a president they saw as a threat to national security? Others suggested a plot by the mafia seeking revenge for Kennedy's crackdown on organized crime. The Kennedy administration's aggressive pursuit of mob figures had earned the president many powerful enemies. The theory posited that the mafia, with its extensive network and resources, had the means and motive to carry out such an audacious act. Still others implicated anti-Castro Cuban exiles furious over the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. These exiles, who felt betrayed by Kennedy's decision not to provide air support during the invasion, had a deep-seated grudge against the president. The theory suggested that they sought retribution for what they saw as Kennedy's betrayal of their cause. The theories varied widely in their details and plausibility, but they shared a common thread: a belief that the official story was a lie, a carefully constructed narrative designed to conceal the truth. The grassy knoll, the second shooter, the shadowy figures in the background, all these elements became part of a larger tapestry of doubt and suspicion. The search for the truth about JFK's assassination continues to this day, with new theories and evidence emerging regularly. One of the most prominent figures to challenge the official narrative was Jim Garrison, the District Attorney of New Orleans. Garrison, convinced that Kennedy's assassination was the result of a conspiracy, launched his own investigation. His efforts, chronicled in his book On the Trail of the Assassins, brought the JFK conspiracy theories into the mainstream. Garrison's investigation was not just a local affair, it captured the attention of the entire nation. Garrison's central claim was that a group of right-wing extremists with ties to the CIA orchestrated Kennedy's murder to prevent him from pulling out of Vietnam and normalizing relations with Cuba. This theory was controversial and polarizing, but it resonated with many who were already skeptical of the official story. Garrison's investigation culminated in the 1969 trial of Clay Shaw, a prominent New Orleans businessman. The trial was a media sensation, drawing intense public and press interest. Garrison accused Shaw of being part of the conspiracy, alleging that he had met with Oswald and other conspirators to plan the assassination. The prosecution presented a complex web of connections and meetings aiming to prove Shaw's involvement. However, the trial ended with Shaw's acquittal. The jury found the evidence insufficient to convict, and Shaw walked free, leaving many questions unanswered. Despite this setback, Garrison remained convinced of a cover-up, arguing that powerful forces had conspired to silence the truth. He held numerous press conferences and continued to speak out, undeterred by the trial's outcome. His relentless pursuit of justice, though ultimately unsuccessful, helped to keep the flames of doubt burning. Garrison's work inspired future generations of researchers and conspiracy theorists, ensuring that the debate over JFK's assassination would continue for decades to come. In 1991, filmmaker Oliver Stone reignited the debate surrounding the JFK assassination with his controversial film JFK. The film, a fictionalized account of Garrison's investigation, presented a scathing critique of the Warren Commission report and offered a compelling, albeit highly speculative, case for conspiracy. Stone's film, while a commercial success, drew sharp criticism for its blurring of fact and fiction. Critics accused him of distorting history and promoting unsubstantiated claims. Despite the controversy, JFK had a profound impact on public opinion. It introduced a new generation to the mysteries surrounding Kennedy's death and fueled a resurgence of interest in the assassination. The film's central message that Kennedy was a victim of a coup d'etat by elements within his own government resonated with audiences disillusioned with the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. JFK, regardless of its accuracy, succeeded in challenging the official narrative and keeping the conversation about the assassination alive. So, here's where things get really interesting. Many people have begun to question the official narrative, They're not just accepting things at face value anymore. Instead, they're digging deeper, looking for answers that might not be so obvious. It's a shift in perspective, a move towards critical thinking. And honestly, it's kind of exciting to see. The establishment, well, they're not too thrilled about it, but that's what makes this whole situation so fascinating. People are challenging the status quo, and who knows where that will lead us. You know, there are numerous signs that suggest a cover-up. For instance, the immediate sealing of key documents and the suppression of crucial evidence. It's almost as if someone wanted to bury the truth right from the start. And let's not forget the witnesses who reported seeing things that contradicted the official narrative. Many of them were either ignored or discredited. All these actions point towards a deliberate attempt to hide something. The so-called magic bullet theory is one of the most controversial aspects of the case. According to the official report, a single bullet caused multiple injuries to both President Kennedy and Governor Connolly. But many experts argue that this is simply impossible. And then there are the missing witnesses, people who claim to have seen or heard things that didn't fit the official story. Some of them mysteriously disappeared or met untimely deaths. It's almost as if someone wanted to silence them forever. Of course, not everyone buys into these conspiracy theories. Critics argue that the evidence for a cover-up is circumstantial at best. They point out that the human mind tends to find patterns and connections even where none exist. Moreover, they argue that the sheer number of people who would need to be involved in such a conspiracy makes it highly improbable. But despite these counter-arguments, the questions and doubts persist. The assassination of President Kennedy remains one of the most puzzling and debated events in modern history. Despite numerous investigations and countless theories, the quest for truth continues. Many believe that uncovering the full story is not just about solving a historical mystery, but about understanding the forces that shape our world. And so, the search goes on, driven by a relentless desire to uncover the truth, no matter how deeply it may be buried.